The topic of open heaven for 19th March 2025. Devotional is From Dog to Child 1. Memory verse, Jeremiah 3 verse 22. Return, ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our God. Read Luke 15 verse 11 to 32. 11. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons. 12th. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. 13. And not many days after the younger son gathered all together, and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. 14. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. 15. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. 16. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. 17. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger. 18. I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. 19. And am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. 20. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. 21. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. 22. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. 23. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat, and be merry. 24. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry. 25. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. 26. And he called one of the servants, and asked what these things meant. 27. And he said unto him, Thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. 28. And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out, and entreated him. 29. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandment. And yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. 30. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. 31. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. 32nd, the last verse. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this thy brother was dead, and is alive again, and was lost, and is found. Message. My Father is the God of all possibilities. He can change even a dog to a beloved child. As far as God is concerned, those who are not born again are dogs. Matthew 15, verse 21 to 28. A backslider is also considered a dog. When Peter spoke about backsliders, he said, "But it is happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her, wallowing in the mire." 2 Peter 2, verse 22. God is merciful, and His mercy can change the worst sinners into His beloved children. In 1 Timothy 1, verse 15, Apostle Paul said, "I was the chief of sinners, but God changed him, and he became a chief among apostles." 2 Corinthians 11, verse 5. With God, all things are possible. A young evangelist who faithfully won several souls to God fell into fornication. Consequently, Satan deceived him that he could never receive God's forgiveness. He believed the lie and continued to live in sin until one day he fell ill and was hospitalized. He was put in the same ward with a pastor who always studied his Bible diligently. The evangelist admired the pastor, and one day the pastor asked him if he was a Christian. He said that he used to be, and when the pastor asked why he stopped following God, he shared his story. The pastor immediately showed him through the scriptures that he could be forgiven and restored. Then he prayed with him, and the young evangelist was restored. Joy flooded his heart. The next morning, the pastor didn't see the young evangelist. When he asked the nurses about him, they told him that he had joyfully passed on. God mercifully allowed the young man to return from his vomit before taking him home. God is willing to restore backsliders when they return to Him sincerely. He is not interested in their death or destruction. In Jeremiah 3, verse 13 to 14, He pleaded with backsliders to acknowledge their iniquity and turn to Him. God will always receive and restore people with humble and contrite hearts. The prodigal son was a backslider who received his father's mercy and was fully restored. Despite all he did, when he repented and took the right step to return to his father, he was received joyfully. God delights in welcoming lost sons home. If you are backslidden, don't allow Satan lie to you that God can never forgive you. He is waiting for you with wide open arms. Return to Him now. Key point: God is willing and able to restore backsliders to Himself. All they need to do is return to Him with sincere hearts. Bible in 1 year. Judges 17, verse 19. Hymn 9. What can wash away my stain? Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.